Welcome to the After Dark podcast with Anthony James and Konrad. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Hello, and welcome to the After Dark podcast. I'm Anthony James, and that's Konrad.
Hello.
That's him. You were expecting me to screw it up there.
I was waiting for you to say something else. It didn't happen.
But actually, I remember our intro now. I remember it,
Nice.
which is always good. Right, guys, I think I'm going to front load this thing. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on audio apps. What else is there? Email us at 80podmail if you have anything to say. 80podmail@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Leave a comment on this video for episode 4 in terms of the questions for Konrad. Apart from that, I'm ready to start chatting. Now, before we start chatting, I got something to lay at Konrad's feet.
Oh.
And Beatrice, our friend from Brazil, has got a bone to pick with you, Konrad.
I'll get my coffee. Go on.
Yeah, you're gonna need it for this, because I think you've been cancelled, son.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
It was only a matter of time, to be fair.
It was. So basically, when you were talking about Tronta's relationship with Claudia and Jana, you kept referring to the idea that Tronta chose Jana.
Yes.
So Beatrice was saying, isn't that quite misogynistic? Because you weren't taking Claudia's feelings into account. And to be honest with you, I see your point.
I said I think Claudia told him not to do it.
Not to do what?
I think Claudia told Tronta, no, we can't be together. You've got to go be with someone else. So Tronta had to just be like, oh, I guess I'll make the best of things with Jana, which isn't good, to be fair. Or to be honest, I don't endorse that choice either. But
so you think that the only reason Tronta isn't with Claudia? So you're recanting? Are you recanting, sir? Are you recanting the idea?
I'm flip flopping.
Yeah. If you alluded to the idea that Tronta chose Jana, you didn't actually intend to. That's not what you meant.
No, I think he chose her in the sense that, like, he couldn't actually be with the woman that he wanted to be with because someone, I think Claudia, told him not to be, or told him he couldn't be, so he had to go off and find someone else and make the best of it. But unfortunately, with that Nielsen blood in him, making the best of it means forming an incredibly unhappy relationship with someone you don't actually love.
So when you're saying that Beatrice's point that you didn't give Claudia the credit that Claudia chose her career over the romance, you're saying actually that's what you did mean. That's what you meant.
I'm saying I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's libel.
That's what I'm saying.
That's libel.
That's libel.
Yeah.
No, that was not my intention. If that's how that came across.
Yeah, and I would
cancel me. I've only just got on the internet. Give me a couple of years at least, guys.
I want someone to edit together a video of the incident of the Tronta conversations from last week and Konrad saying the complete opposite thing this week.
Like that bit in The Simpsons where it's like, so sweet Ken. And they edit together the interview to make him look like a pervert.
Yeah, but to be honest with you guys, both Konrad and I, I would describe us as, wanting not to be misogynistic.
Yeah, I try my best.
We try our best. To be honest with you, to the point where if someone has a genuine question about whether something we said was misogynistic, we both actually want you to tell us that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think the only way to be better as a person is to be challenged. So absolutely.
Yeah, and as we could all see, Konrad maybe didn't become better as a person, but he squirmed his way out of it, I think.
Yeah. I found a loophole without apologizing.
Oh, if only I could speak German, because the word for loophole sounds so cool as well.
Yeah, they must have said it in this show at some point.
No, they do. Adam said it in episode 4.
Yeah. I can't even remember what it would be.
Yeah, it's a cool word though. It's a cool word. It's funny that people in the comments were saying they couldn't believe my favorite word in German was the word for unbelievable.
Or unmöglich.
Yeah,
I remember that now because someone in the comments reminded me. Thank you very much.
There you go. So so that's my favorite word in German, 100%.
Do you think that song? You're a little bit younger than me. You remember that? Sorry, guys, this intro's gone really long.
It actually is not. It's not as long as our first intros we did on the podcast.
Oh, really? Okay,
And also,
good.
it's not an intro. This is the segment of Konrad explains himself.
Yeah. This is my contrition, where I have to apologize and say that I didn't mean to cause any offense. No, you
Also,
know that...
whenever Konrad gets a theory right, by the way, I'm usually have my poker face on. If I'm taking a sip of coffee, for fuck's sake, it's not any reference to what's going on. Just so you know.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, you know that this joke isn't going to land at all now because we've moved so far beyond it. But like, do you know that '90s song? You're unbelievable, down, 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 down,
Wow.
down, get down, down. So do you think there was a translation of that in German where like,
Yeah.
du bist unmöglich, down, 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 down.
Dich, 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 dich. Gotta be.
Let's get into the show.
Let's do it.
Oh, let's break it down!
So the episode opens with a young Gustav Tannhaus in a carriage with his old papa getting taken down the road. And obviously this very quickly turns into what I imagine is 33 years later, just because we know what show we're watching.
Yeah, it's a safe assumption.
Yeah, it very quickly turns into the unknown character coming into the carriage and, showing him, hey, isn't this a cool cheese wire?
Yeah. It's it's a lovely shot to start off with. The kind of actually no, I think that might be on the second part of the scene. The shot, now I think about it, with the carriage moving perpendicularly across the screen, with like the light kind of illuminating like the dark stormy forest.
I think that is the first part actually, because it does a jump cut between young Gustav.
That's
and
right.
old
Yeah,
Gustav.
it does. Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, guys. Okay. Don't unsubscribe. It's clearly 66 years difference, not 33.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's so young.
It's
sorry.
All the same.
I'm sorry.
It's all the same. Time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Someone's already commented, and I bet you they're going to edit that comment saying now, oh, actually, I'd listened on.
Yeah. So our listeners will of course remember me saying in season 2 that I thought Martha had that baby somehow, and yeah, this is an interesting bit of dialogue talking about Ariadne being Gustav Tannhaus' mother's favourite play in this scene. Just saying.
It is, yes.
Might come back to that a bit later, but yeah, and the full Charlotte watch as well, that comes in where that'll come back later. But yeah, sort of visually, this is a very cool opening scene. Some really nice photography in it, and lovely to see the cleanup crew again, and the Clausen dialogue in the letter that he was sent returns, voiced.
Yeah, what did you take from that?
I took most of what those guys did in this episode as kind of a confirmation of what I suspected at the end of season 2, which is that the letter that Clausen was sent by Alt Marta, because these guys quoting it seems pretty much to confirm that. So yeah, lovely to see these guys again though. They're great at being intimidating.
Oh, that middle one, jeez, he's so scary looking.
He is, yeah. When he looms in, he's just got the driver's blood all over his face. It's great.
Yeah, I think a big Hollywood horror film would be, it would be brilliant if they would snap him up and put him. He's so scary.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we as is tradition. Well, it was tradition, then it wasn't, now it was again. Or is again, I should say. Grammar. So basically, we have the title card.
Yes.
To talk about. And this time, Right, Konrad. In English, it's Adam and Eva. Do you want to give it a go?
I'll take a run at it. And
Okay.
We'll see how far I get. Adam und Eva.
Eva. Yeah.
It might be Eva. Yeah, I am just trying to think if we hear her name said.
It should be Eva, but I'm being Adam. Eva. Yeah, like that's cool. Obviously, it means Adam and Eva, guys. What else are we gonna say?
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a gimme.
I will say it's interesting. Let us know in the comments. In the Bible in Germany, is it Eva, or is it just a change they made in the show just for change sake? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that the church would have a problem with, like changing the actual translation of the name. But I don't know. I'd be interested to hear about that.
Yeah, they're too busy denying other people their rights. Right. Okay. So, hot take. Right. So
Moving on.
Moving on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Right. Okay. So, Altmarter and Jonas have a little relationship between, or sort of conversation ongoing throughout this episode, for the most part, which is it echoes for me the conversations between like Tannhaus and the Stranger and stuff from the first season, and Jonas and Adam in second season, where it sort of it narrates the episode as we go through.
Yeah.
So if you want, we can just like talk about the first few of these scenes at one time, because I don't want to keep coming back to it. But what do you think about these scenes?
So, I mean, I think the first thing to mention really is that this seems like yet another example of Jonas being manipulated by someone who's telling him everything he wants to hear, being like, oh, you know, you and Marta are bound to each other, and if you want to save her, you have to trust me, because trusting Adam didn't help, and all that stuff, all while kind of trusting someone who he really has no reason to trust. I do kind of, by the end of this episode, which we'll come back to later, I do kind of suspect that he is at least a little bit more cynical by the end of this episode, but not by much. I guess the thing that I find quite interesting about the language that's used in these first couple of scenes between Jonas and and Eva is this talk of like bonds between Jonas and Marta, which sounds like quite sort of generic dialogue at first. You know, they're bound to each other, they're sort of romantically involved, and they you know, they're in love, they're soulmates or what have you. But there's also this idea that there's a sort of like lyricism and poetry to the dialogue here. This idea of them being almost like trussed together, so they're kind of trapped in being close to one another. They are both bound to each other because they care about each other, but they are also trapped in this eternal loop where their kind of their fates are intertwined. And it basically made me start thinking that by the time this series ends, I think whatever has happened to Jonas will have also happened to Marta, because it seems like the process of unpicking this knot is going to affect both of them, because they are kind of wrapped up so intrinsically.
What do you mean by what has happened? Could you want to just elaborate that on a little bit?
So, I mean, I don't know exactly where those two fit into it, but our discussion last week about that Sigmundar's flaw and how I think that infinity symbol at the centre of it is a person.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that person is Jonas or Marta, but I think they will have a connection to whoever that person is. So okay. I could see by the unpicking of that knot, maybe it stops one of them existing or something like that. And I think because they are so tightly bound together, particularly in the alternate worlds where they're kind of literally occupying the same space, they could both stop existing as a result of that. So that's kind of where I see their character arcs going at the moment. Is this almost like it's not Bonnie and Clyde, Thelma and Louise. That's what I was thinking of, but Bonnie and Clyde as well, I guess.
Yeah. You mean Thelma and Louise in the way like at the end they just
they go, like wherever they're
drive
going,
off
they're
the
going
cliff
together, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that feels to me like where the Jonas and Marta relationship is headed.
Okay, that sounds interesting to me. So in terms of them both having a bond to someone, though, the fact that Marta is in a different world, what does that mean to you? Like, how do they have a bond to someone if they're both they're both in different worlds? Like, how would they share the same person in common?
Well, I mean, I think someone's had sex with someone from the other world. That's what's happened here. Someone has got it on with someone from the other world, and it's created a baby who's then gone and had sex with themselves in their own world or something like that. And it's all gone from there. So I think that's kind of like that something like that is going to be the center of their bond. Okay. But I think that there is, in the way this episode is both structured and presented, that bond is very clear. So you've got young Jonas being, I mean, I'm going to say manipulated. We don't have evidence of it, but I'm pretty sure Eva's a bad guy based on the kind of company she keeps in this episode, being manipulated by Eva, and then the mirror of that with Marta being, I'm not going to say manipulated by Adam, even though I think she probably is, because she seems to be at least a little bit more aware of what he's asking of her than Jonas is of Eva. But she has that relationship with Adam as well, and they're both just kind of being strung along, I think.
Yeah, and like to be honest with you, like there's a lot of like we're gonna get through the whole episode. Obviously, I don't want to touch on things before we get there, but at the same time, there's a lot of symmetry going on as there is in this season. A lot of symmetry between the two worlds.
Yeah.
Like we have Jonas being, as you say, it seems as if he's being manipulated here by Eva, very similar to the way he was by Adam in the previous season. But also in the same episode, we have a young Alt Marta being sort of mentored or told what to do by Adam. So there's a literal mirror happening between the worlds here.
Yeah.
And we'll get into more detail about it later. But when Jonas talks to young Alt Marta, but there's really interesting things that can be drawn, and you wouldn't really think about them at the first time of saying watching it. I think you probably have picked up on these theories because you're thinking about so much. But I think that there's certain themes coming out that I think some people maybe wouldn't have really put the dots together on, between Jonas and Marta and parallels between them. But we'll talk about that later. I just love. I don't know about you, but like when Marta died at the end of season 2, and then they were introduced to this Alt Marta, I very quickly in my own mind was like, oh well, that's we're not gonna ever see Jonas and Marta in the same way again.
Yeah.
But the way that they're sort of portraying Alt Marta as that world's version of Jonas, it really is like the best way they could have done it, because it's there's an innate connection between them now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, it reaffirms their bond to each other, because Jonas still has that kind of sexual attraction, that love for Marta, and it's really interesting because it's kind of unrequited at the moment, or not returned at the moment, because Marta doesn't know who the young
doesn't know who he is.
Young version of Alt Marta doesn't. I say young, the one who's not the one with Adam at the moment doesn't know who he is at the moment.
Yeah.
So
there's actually 4 Alt Martas on the go here.
God damn it! Like keeping track of them all is a nightmare. I'm gonna call her innocent Alt Marta. But she doesn't know who he is. So there's almost like this kind of like protective quality where he's having to guide her to her destiny, if you want to call it that, which adds another wrinkle to their relationship. But then you have his relationship with the Alt Marta who saved him, where their bond is so obviously like reaffirmed by the fact that not only do they have this kind of innate attraction to each other, but they literally are like the same person. They're almost like twins. Like they're kind of the different sides of the same coin, to use a metaphor that Dark itself has used. And I think, as you say, I think in terms of how they could have developed that relationship between Jonas and Marta, I don't think they could have done it better than they have done it in this season.
Yeah, it was great. I'm really enjoying it, especially like I haven't really rewatched this series the whole way through since it came out. I watched episodes here and there when I needed things for videos, but to be honest with you, this is hilarious. Last week I forgot to mention this on the podcast, but when I was watching episode 2, I text Konrad and I said to him, I watched episode 2 and it just happened to be a Saturday, so then for the rest of the day I just watched the rest of the season. So I couldn't stop watching. As Netflix put the next episode on, I just kept watching and kept watching and kept watching. It was so good.
Yeah, I mean that pull to or that temptation to let Netflix autoplay the next episode has never gone away with this show. It's always like a panic every time those doom 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 like credits come up. I'm like, get a controller quickly. Like, don't let me see it.
And I think as well, like this episode ends with a bit of a cliffhanger, but also like as this last season has really ramped up here, there's cliffhangers every episode.
I mean, like I was saying to Anthony before we started, there's 4 episodes left of this, 5 episodes left of this of this season. I don't know how they're going to land all of these, because they're still. I feel like we're not closer to resolving most of these than we were at the beginning of season 1. To be honest.
I think you'll probably feel that way all the way up to the end of episode 7.
Yeah.
I think after episode 7, you won't know where. After episode 7 happens, you won't know where episode 8's going, because episode 7. I'm not going to say anything about it, obviously, but it's at the end of episode 7. It's one of those things where a lot of what you wanted from the show you get, and then it's like, okay. And then for our for Donnie Starts out there, the one person we know watches wrestling, the episode 8 is like the Monday after WrestleMania.
Oh, okay, nice. Like, the fans are all rowdy. And
Yeah.
they're cheering for Macho Man Randy Savage or
Yeah.
or CM Punk.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've been on that one scene for about 84 minutes now. So the next scene is Ulrich giving a briefing to the police officers all about Mad's body, and he's breaking down. He can't hold himself together, and Charlotte takes him off into the evidence room, this time for a bit of a pep talk. Ulrich actually decides, like he did in the original world, he decided, you know what? No, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
It took him two
two
affairs
days.
this time. It only took him one affair. So for all the shit we give the other Ulrich, at least he realized
Stopped
after
at
one
one.
affair. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know what he would have done after it. To be fair, if he hadn't he may have. In fact, I'm almost certain he would have done it again in future.
Oh yeah.
I will be honest, this plot line I think is one of the poorer ones in this episode. I enjoyed this episode, but this one I kind of got... I read a couple of comments after, I think it was after the first episode, where people were talking about how some viewers were a bit disappointed in season 3 with the Mirror World stuff because it was just showing them things they'd already seen before. And in most of the cases of that we've seen so far, I haven't minded because it's been showing us either new characters or like characters showing different aspects of their personality or characters engaging with different situations, even if it's situations we have seen before. It kind of swaps the characters around. This plot line I was a bit kind of with, just because I know where it's going. Like, Ulrich's going to get the penny and like going to go and take it back to Helga and beat his head in again. And like, I'm almost, if it doesn't go that way, I'll be the first to hold my hands up and be like, fair enough, I should have given this more of a chance. But I think with these scenes, I was a bit like, okay, I get it. Like, you're setting this up for something that happened literally the exact same way in the regular world. So I probably didn't need to see as much of this as they showed us in this episode.
Yeah, I think I agree with you to a certain extent. I do think that it's important to show at least one of the little bootstrappy things being set up, because we need to be told as an audience that all that stuff that happened still happened. Like the fact that the fact that you know, like, certain characters are still where they should be, even though we know that they kind of shouldn't be. We need something to show us, oh, actually, all that time travel stuff still happened.
Yeah.
So they've chosen the Ulrich storyline to sort of hint at that. So I don't begrudge it for that, to be honest with you. I do, in the sort of dramatic scenes in this episode, when we've sort of seen Ulrich go through the motions before in this regard, it feels a little bit hollow to me. Well, not hollow. That's a harsh word, but it does it does feel repetitive.
Yeah, like, we've already kind of seen these character beats before, so they don't have as much of an impact on me as they did the first time round.
Yeah, but if they want to show us Ulrich, you know, possibly going and doing that thing.
I hope they don't. It was horrible. I mean, I like gore. Like, I watch a lot of schlocky 80s Italian horror movies, but that was pretty gross. Like, the sound design on him beating Helga's head in was nasty, and eye stuff, I'm always a bit like, oh no.
Yeah, but like, if they want to show us that, my point is, if they didn't have these few scenes in this episode, everyone would have been like, how the hell did he do that? Because Mikkel wasn't taken back.
Yeah, I know. I do see what you mean. Yeah, it kind of it's filling in some of those kind of plot point blanks, I guess, that otherwise might be a bit confusing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Bartos confronts Stranger because Alt Matra has told Bartos that Stranger is Adam, and he pushes him to the ground. And there's a first proper scrap between Bartos and Jonas that we see in the show. We're waiting for it for a while.
I mean, it's not the first one. It's a mirror of the one they had outside
it's
the
second.
school.
That's you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, what is wrong with me? Yeah.
But
it's technically. Sorry, guys. Like, I didn't make a mistake there. It's actually technically the first because this happened in 1888.
That is true. That's a fair point. Yeah, this happened first. And make a note in your diary, folks, because there's something unprecedented coming. I really liked Bartos in this episode. He finally comes good. He finally picks the right bloody side of an argument and is like, and stands up for himself and is actually, you know, I think he's in the right here. He's like, you are being a dick. Stop lying to us and tell us the truth. And yeah, there's this interesting kind of like double turn happening between him and Stranger, where he is kind of. I feel like he's been disabused of a lot of the stuff that Noah told him in season 1.
Like Stone Cold and the Hitman.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
Double turn.
Yeah. Exactly. Like Hitman's turning here. In this case, the Stranger. But yeah, like there's both of their characters are developing in really interesting ways, which makes me curious as to how, if the person I believe is older Bartos turns out to be correct, how that person sticks with Sigmundus for as long as they do, because it seems like Bartos is kind of done with the Stranger at the end of this. Like, he seems like he's only here because he literally has no choice because they can't travel through time. So yeah, I'll be really interested to see where that plot line goes, and it could potentially end really sadly for Bartos, because he's kind of developing into quite an interesting character now. But is his fate kind of already sealed? Like, is he just gonna get stuck here and have to make the best of it and end up dying really pointlessly as a result?
Yeah. Well, you mean Bartos?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Say no more.
Yeah, well, you had a theory about that one already, didn't you?
Well, about how he's dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the guy who gets pickaxed at the beginning of season 2.
Yeah,
but that's
so
what I mean. Like, it would be like, if that is true, where he is now, where he's kind of like starting to reject Stranger's ideas and in effect rejecting the Sigmundus ideology as well, because he doesn't like what Stranger's turning into. If he still ends up getting roped into it just because he doesn't have any other options, and then just gets killed by them, it's like, oh, that's really sad. Because
yeah, I know what you mean, but at the same time, I think at the end of this episode, you know, and we'll talk about it in more detail when we get there, but at the end of this episode, whenever Alt Marta runs away, I think that might be the moment where Stranger was able to win Bartos round to his side by being like, see, she fooled us. See, she's run away. Because let's remember, if that is Bartos who gets pickaxed, he needs to somehow believe enough to get a tattoo on his chest.
I like to say prison tattoos. He has to do it.
Yeah,
you've got to show your gang colours, otherwise you get beaten up.
Yeah, I wonder if Franziska and Magnus have it too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Magnus, like, he's going to get that instead of the Motley Crue tattoos that he's got in the alt world. That's what
the mirroring, the symbolism. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the conversation between Jonas and Eva continues, and then we get a scene between Alt Marta, Alt Ulrich, and Alt Magnus, where basically Ulrich is asking them, like, were they on anything?
Yeah, like Ulrich winning some Father of the Year awards here by immediately accusing his children of being on drugs and lying, which is great stuff, Ulrich.
Because they saw, just to catch anyone up who hasn't watched the episode recently, it's because Mads, the body of Mads fell down through the bunker, and then, like, obviously the teenagers found the body.
So this scene feels like it's designed to kind of sow the seeds of getting Marta away from Killian kind of dramatically. Like, that it needs to kind of pull her away from that relationship and push her towards Jonas, so they can do what they're predestined to do. But the thing I really love about this, and I've said it a few times now in this season, but Moritz Jan, who plays Magnus, it's impressive how he can go from making Magnus this kind of like unsure and sensitive character to kind of imposing and confident as he is here, where he literally like squares up to Ulrich and is like, "Oh, thanks for coming over. Now fuck off," basically, which is like, it's really well delivered line. He doesn't swear, but that's like kind of the way he says it implies that like definitive kind of tone. And all it takes is a few wardrobe changes and his own skill as an actor. I'm still super impressed by his performance of Magnus across both worlds.
Yeah, I love Moritz Jan. If you're a fan of Magnus in the show, definitely check out Moritz Jan music. He's a great musician too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think he's sort of been spurred on by the sort of dark ending, and he's got a fair bit of popularity on it now. I don't know if he's generally in charts or anything in Germany. I have no idea, but you know, the stuff on YouTube and stuff on Spotify is great. Okay, so next scene, we get the mirror of the first season scene with Hannah sniffing Charlotte.
Well, yeah, and as we all know, Hannah only brings you food when she's starting to go a little bit insane. And if I was Charlotte, I would watch out, because Hannah is in full-on bunny boiler mode now. Yeah, it's There was a bit in this scene. So the actual conversation with Charlotte is, we've seen that kind of played out before. It's just her figuring out who Ulrich is cheating on her with. But there's this really cheesy shot in that follows their meeting, where she goes into Ulrich's office to like collect herself, and then turns to face the desk and kind of puts her hands on the desk and does this thing where she like slowly looks up as the camera zooms in on her and the music gets really ominous, where it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's like something out of a soap opera. It's so funny. But it made me laugh. And as we will see later in this episode, Hannah is going to direct her ire not at her husband, but at Charlotte.
Yep. I did enjoy that inclusion of that plot point as well in this as well. How they found a way. Well, basically it's the exact same way as last time, but they found a way for her to want Ulrich gone. Okay, so then we get Marta and Magnus. Not really much to this scene, to be honest with you. I like that Magnus is wearing the skeleton uniform. What do you take from that?
That's just
because obviously it mirrors Mikkel as well.
Yeah. I guess it's just I think it's just them swapping the costume round. I mean, it's obviously not the same clothes, but swapping the costume round to show like the mixed up world. I guess, I mean, you said in the first season, I think, that it kind of exposed that there was like, was it like there was no lying to him? Like he's kind of like the most bare character because you can like literally see his bones or something. I can't remember.
No. What the actual symbolism that from this is from the lips of Jorge Fries.
Yeah.
Is like this is how much detail they went into the show, right? The costume design on Mikkel with the skeleton costume was to signify that the first character you see after
he was going to die
after Michael killed himself.
Yeah.
What the first character you saw associated with death was Mikkel because he had the skeleton.
Well, yeah. I've already established that I think... Well, I mean, they've told us that Magnus is going to die in this world. So, yeah, I could see that symbolism being carried through here. Main thing I noticed in this scene was that he has Eat the Rich, which is the name of an Aerosmith album, taped up behind his bed. So he's very much... It's not. He hasn't got No Future tapes anywhere, but he's definitely... He's learned that from his dad, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Comrade Magnus. Right, okay, so... Then we're into the Erit Lux. We found out it's called Erit Lux.
Yes.
The Erit Lux room. And Old Marta gives Jonas, what would we call this thing? A hexagon torch?
Yeah, it's like
it's like half a hexagon.
Yeah, it's like a big knuckle duster that that also happens to have a torch on it. It's cool. I thought it was I've got that theory about there must be a reason people are giving out these bloody future torches, and no one has explained it yet. It's like, torches exist. Jonas could go to a hardware store and just buy one.
Yeah, and Magnus is the only one who brought one along, remember?
Yeah.
But I don't get, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I might make an episode of Dark Discussions on it just for a joke, but I don't get where these future torches are coming from.
No.
Like, because the fact of the matter is, like, look at the future in both worlds.
Yeah, who's making torches?
Who's making these torches? Like,
I mean, in my head, I don't know who's making them, but it's probably some. You can explain
obviously, torches can be made in a post-apocalyptic world, but who's trying to advance technology?
Yeah. How are we moving forward in this situation? I mean, my interpretation of them, and I've kind of just accepted that the show is never going to really address this, and fair enough, it's not that big of a deal, but I would have liked them to, mainly because I wrote a theory on it, and I would have liked some points, but is that they are somehow insulated against, like, the interference that is caused by the portals or something like that. So we've seen most torches start flickering like crazy and die.
Does theirs not?
Well, I've never. They've very clearly never shown it happen. So to me, that is the distinction. Here we are with another future torch that someone in 2052 or 2053 now is
2052. I think it is in the alt world because they're in 2019.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but yes, someone especially in the alt world. We'll get back to it later. But in the alt world 2052, that does not look like a place where there's a lot of industry left. To be honest.
Not at all.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know where the
maybe
factory
suntan
is.
lotion. They could have.
They need that.
They need that definitely. Well, sun cream. They don't need suntan lotion. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we get.
In fact, there's one thing I wanted to say there. Sorry.
Yeah.
We see at the end of that scene very clearly that someone mentioned Eva's facial scar in the first episode. First episode? Second episode? No, it is the first episode, isn't it?
First episode Q&A, yeah.
Yeah, and someone asked me where I think she got it. It's very clearly presented here, and I actually properly noticed it this time.
Yeah, you thought we were talking about the cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's actually got like the kind of big thing.
Yeah.
I've got 2 words for you. Regina sword fight.
Whoa. Oh.
Keep an eye out for that.
I honestly thought you were never going to get that one.
Yeah.
Is that can be amalgamated into the same theory?
Yeah, Regina the Swordmaster is like this kind of broad theory that now encompasses Vola, like Torben Vola, and Eva now as well.
Yeah. Well, it's all good fun and games. So Stranger, luckily, has Altmar to give him some time juice.
Like, he's so gullible. He's so gullible. Like, first of all, I will say at the beginning of this scene, Lisa Vicari, she's great in this entire season so far. Like, I feel like she's really stepped up. I mean, Marta was always kind of a major character, but she's like a really major character in this.
She's like one of the main characters now.
Yeah. And she's great in this scene. She really sells like the kind of threat of the stranger. It's a great example of acting she's selling another character rather than selling herself, which I think is really important for the development of Stranger. I believe her when she says that she didn't send the letter, even given what we find out at the end of this episode. I think I believe her.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean her older self didn't send it. That's the caveat I'll add to that.
Oh, she hasn't sent it yet, you mean?
Yeah, she hasn't sent it yet, basically. But yeah, so I am amazed that Stranger believes Marta here when she tells him that she is giving up her only means of travelling to prove that he can trust her. It's just such an obvious lie. It's like, why would she do that? It's clearly just giving you the thing you need to create this portal to get closer to being Adam and forming Sigmundus. But
that's what's interesting, actually, is that I think Stranger has too much faith in himself. That is one of his biggest problems, because I think I'm so critical of myself, and I don't have faith in myself a lot of the time, and I think most normal humans in the world are like that, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always acting as if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Stranger,
Yeah.
if I was Stranger, I would have just been like, all right, so you travel with that? Okay, can we use that to travel back?
Yeah, exactly. That's the question to us. Like,
let's
don't you waste it. Like, there's no reason for you to waste it. Let's all just travel back together to like.
And we'll get more.
Yeah, we'll pop to 2019 or we'll pop to 1986. Get some more, and then you can go back to your world, and we'll go back.
Yeah,
to
we'll bring our machine with us.
Yeah, Oh, there's so many options that he had here that didn't involve being like, all right.
But the thing is, I mean, he's so confident in his own ability not to turn into Adam.
Yeah, he's like,
that he's like,
lads, don't worry.
I may as well make a new machine. Like, I may as well just make it because I'm not going to be Adam anyway. But it would be cool to be myself, who isn't Adam, with a cool machine.
It's very interesting that you mentioned that, actually, because that. It wasn't that obvious earlier on, but he has always kind of had that slight hubris to his character. So, like, him being the one, and there are other characters who have this as well. So maybe it's masked a bit, but him being the one who's like, "Oh, I will close the passage in season 1. Like, I'm the one who knows how to fix this," and indirectly ballsing things up even more. There are a lot of characters who have that about them, including. Eva in this episode as well, and Adam as well. But it's interesting that Stranger, the way they are turning Stranger. I said in the previous episode, I wasn't quite buying his sudden shift towards the dark side, so to speak. But the more I see of his character, the more I'm like, okay, yeah, they're doing this quite subtly. And just to briefly mention it as well, there's a little kind of bit of expository dialogue here which is really interesting, where he's talking about Old Townhouse caused all this by trying to bring someone back from the dead, which would be his wife, the one who loved Ariadne. And Stranger's gaze shifts downwards when he says his wife, as if he doesn't want to look at Marta when he's saying it, as if he knows who it is.
But how would he know that? Because he was so surprised that Marta was alive. So if he knew, like in the first episode, he was like almost crying when she showed up. So if he knew that she eventually turned into the mother of Gustav Tarnhaus, then why would he be surprised that she was alive?
Well, because I think he knows.
Maybe I'm not misunderstanding the timeline of your thing.
Well, yeah. So I think at this point, I don't know about Alt Marta, to be fair, but or later Alt Marta, not innocent Alt Marta. I think at this point, Marta has had the baby that will become Gustav Tannhaus.
So you're saying that this stranger Jonas thinks or knows that Gustav is his son?
Yes. Yeah. I think Gustav has told him that he is his dad, and I think he knows about his relationship. I don't think he knew that Marta was still alive. I think he believed that, he obviously didn't. So he believed she had the baby and then died, and he's very surprised to see her again. And in the time that he's been in 88, Gustav Tannhaus has been like, "Yo, Dad, it's me."
So how does that... Yeah, that's cool. So how does that blend in then with what they've said in this scene, trying to save their wife? So you think that... That doesn't make any sense, though, because you're saying that Tarnhaus's father... Gustav Tarnhaus's father would be Jonas. But... So who's the one who started the cult?
Oh, wait, no, sorry, hold on. So no, Gustav Tannhaus...
You mean adoptive father?
Yeah, so Gustav Tannhaus's father is I don't know his name, but the guy was in the carriage at the beginning, so it's not a stranger. I've got myself confused there. But so Gustav Tannhaus's father, who was in the carriage at the beginning, was married to... He must have been married to Marta. So I guess it must have been the Alt Marta who he got, it must have been Eva that he was married to, and that union gave birth to Gustav Tannhaus. Although that doesn't make sense with her having a baby. Now I'm thinking about it. So I think it must have been an adoption in there somewhere. I'm convinced that she had the baby from the relationship, from the sexual encounter with Jonas.
Oh, actually, no. I've solved your theory for you. So what the stranger says here is that Gustav's father tried to save his wife.
Yeah.
So the idea would be Gustav's father, if it was Jonas, tries to save Marta. It didn't actually say.
He didn't. Yeah, that's a good point.
It didn't say it was a Tannhaus.
That's true. Although the other Tannhaus does at the beginning. What does he say? Does he say your mother or does he say my wife?
Your mother.
Maybe he says your mother. Yeah. Okay.
He does.
So yeah. So there you go. So that kind of works. So yeah. To go back to what we were saying, I think he was surprised to see her because he thought she was dead, but he knows that this guy is his son, or was his son before he got iced by the cleanup crew. So yeah. This idea
that would make sense why the cleanup crew wants to kill him too.
Yes. Yeah. They would. And this idea that by trying to resurrect or prevent from being killed the one you love, you inadvertently screw up everything, is kind of so central to a lot of the themes in Dark. This like kind of the road to hell is paved with good intentions thing. Like everyone's trying to do the right thing, but a lot of them are doing it for selfish reasons and just completely screwing everything up as a result.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so moving on, we'll come back to that later on. So the unknown comes into Eva's lair and lays out three things. You called it. That they were going to work across dimensions, sort of thing. So you're right, and they have the Ariadne book and the watch from back in Tarnhaus 1888.
Yeah.
Then they have they also have the book from Burnt, who Burnt gave to Claudia, which has all the dark matter stuff in there. They open it up and we see 2 keys.
Yes. So I'm not sure about the keys.
It was accompanied by a letter that says
it's like volume control or something.
Volume control, yeah.
I mean,
and they say beginning and ending.
Yeah.
Eva says that. Yeah.
I mean, I think in my head, there's going to be a kind of like war game style. Insert the keys at the same time, turn them. Power plant goes into meltdown, and game over for the alt world. I think that's kind of what's going to happen there. Although I'm not that confident on that. I think the items here are interesting because the For Charlotte watch and the Ariadne book they're not useful in terms of giving someone information or giving them access to something. They feel like the only use those items are going to have is in giving them to someone to perpetuate a bootstrap paradox, which makes me wonder whether the Ariadne book will be given to regular Martyr, so not alt Martyr. The For Charlotte watch will be given to regular Noah. And maybe the Ledger will be given to Alt Alexander to kind of preempt the disaster in their world. Or maybe they'll just do that themselves, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting trying to figure out, and it hurts my brain trying to figure out where I think these items are going to end up, to be honest.
Yeah, like, well, I think we've kind of all seen the watch a lot of times. Like, the watch is going to go somewhere. I don't think we've seen the leather book with all the dark matter information. We haven't seen that with anyone after this point. Like, we haven't seen an old version of that, so that might just be a new plot point. Whereas the Ariadne book, I'm not 100% sure if we've ever seen like an old version of that book. I don't know.
I don't think we.
We'll get into. Like, I know why they've got it, but we'll get into it later on.
It's just a great
in the
book.
Series. It's a great.
Just a great read.
Yeah, it's just her favorite book, and that was the only one ever published.
I liked. To be honest, throughout this episode, I was kind of like going back and forth. I'm like, is Eva definitely evil, or are they playing me here? Is she actually going to turn out to be, the light to Adam's dark and all of that? And then when the cleanup crew walked in, I was like, okay, no, she is evil.
So like the idea is that, like, she said herself, she wants to preserve the loop or preserve the cycles, right? So she wants to make sure everything happens the way it happens.
Yeah.
And she said, what was it? She said that if she didn't, like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was sort of alluding to that certain people wouldn't be around.
Yeah, so she, I mean, it's very similar to what Adam says, which makes me think that those two are, much like Jonas and Marta are trying to unpick, or the young ones are trying to unpick this knot, but are bound together.
But Eva just said she wants to keep it going.
Yeah, but then Eva and Adam are trying to preserve it because they want everything, and they are also bound together in this knot, which is just this kind of interesting dichotomy between these younger characters and their older selves. Mm-hmm. But beyond the obvious visual cues, that Eva is probably not that noble in her goals, with her wearing, black, and like Adam, hiring murderous individuals to do her work for her. The "so others can live" thing, it just rings so hollow from her character as a justification for screwing over Jonas and everything else she's doing, because it's like, well, is Bernd gonna live? Because is the receptionist is it Julia?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, that's it. Is Jasmine gonna live? Like they've completely, like, I think this is why she hasn't been mentioned. And I said this in season 1. When Claudia wasn't around for a long time, I was like, I think Claudia's important because no one's mentioning her, and she's definitely up to some big stuff because she was in charge of the power plant. And Claudia hasn't been mentioned for a long time, and I think she's up to something. Because, I mean, we saw her a little bit in the last episode, but I think Middle Claudia is doing something important. And the reason I think that is because there's very clear parallels drawn between what Adam and Eva are willing to do, i.e. just murder people to preserve this timeline. They basically have this, these are acceptable losses for what we're trying to do kind of mentality. And on the face of it, Claudia has that as well, because obviously she's, accidentally killed her dad, and I suspect her older self might have sent Tronte to kill her daughter and Regina. But all of that is done in service of fixing things so that those events never actually happen. And that's like the core difference between them. So whenever these characters are like, the ends justify the means, I'm like, no, piss off. Like, Claudia's ends justify the means because she's fixing everything. Like, if what she's trying to do will comes to pass, none of this will have ever happened. So I'm whenever I see Eva and Adam now, I'm just like waiting for Claudia to roll in a Humvee and just like fix everything.
A Humvee. Okay, so very short scene now. which I didn't want to skirt over. It's just Jonas leaving the cave. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it sort of gives an illusion to where or it's basically to not where Eva's lair is, because he's coming back to 2019. He's traveled to get back here. So where do you think Eva's lair is?
Well, I mean, he's gone whenever. So, I mean, the implication here is, and it's interesting. It's very subtle, but it's kind of like what you were saying about the Ulrich thing earlier. It's just this little nod to there's more outside of this painting that we can't actually see. So when he was visited this place in his time, he was in the 20s, wasn't he, when he went there in his time? Mm-hmm. But I would assume it. I mean, they've got the three-pronged portal in their cave in the alt world, so I guess it's going to be the 50s or the 80s. My assumption is going to be that it's probably the 50s.
Actually, no, would it not have to be the 80s? Because we saw them take the tunnel to get to the future in this episode.
That is a good point. Yeah, okay, so it would have to be the 80s then, wouldn't it? But it's really interesting, or a very smart, just really quick. Here's a tiny bit of world building that just tells you, like, fills in a little blank for you in terms of what the time travel in this world looks like. And there's also a really kind of subtle little moment from Jonas's character where, as he's walking out, he kind of looks back uncertainly. And when he did it, I was like, you're starting to be skeptical about this. You're finally learning. It's only taken you 3 seasons of people betraying you to suddenly start figuring this out.
But I thought that was a good moment too. And the idea is as well, it makes kind of sense why, like, they've got like the little golden orb ball that can travel between dimensions and all over the place in terms of times, because their whole travel system, their whole time travel is like 33 years in the future compared to the other world. Yeah. Like, it's actually more advanced than the other one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, I think.
And that to me, like, we talked about Dragon Ball Z before on this podcast, but it strikes me like they're like, season 3, they have to be more advanced. It's, like, every bad guy in Dragon Ball Z, like, there's no, like, can you imagine if Cell, like, went and fought Goku from the first season?
Oh yeah,
like,
he just, like, obliterate him with, like,
literally like a fly. He just flick him away like a fly. So it has to get gradually more sort of, the mountain has to get gradually higher.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they chose to have everything move 33 years, because if they had kept it the same timelines, then it would have been like, hang on a minute,
where's all this technology come from?
Where's that all the technology come from? And there's actually something from this episode which you could start to theorize about, based on the fact that the tunnel seems to go from the 80s to 2019 to 2052. There's something you could start to theorize about there, but that's all I'll say. So next scene, we get Charlotte going down into old Charlotte going down into the bunker, and she finds the medal, or the penny. And then we get old Helga sort of doing what old Helga does, remembering something went wrong. Yeah. Getting up and running away.
Yeah. We're rushing headlong towards Ulrich beating another child half to death with these scenes. Can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait. Okay, so then we get a shot of, or we get a little glimpse at Jürgen's pad.
Yeah, what is? I've labelled this as the Obendorf drug farm. I don't know what he grows here. Like, he's just got a bunch of greenhouses that I don't. I mean, I'm sure they're there in the regular world, but I've never really thought about what he does with these.
Yeah,
just growing a bunch of weed.
I don't know. Does he grow like legal?
Just cabbages.
Or does he grow like medicine? And
he's like a trucker. I just don't understand why he has like this kind of farm system.
Yeah, it's just strange. But anyway, she gets Killian out of the trailer.
Yeah.
It was good to see old Jörg, but he's only there for a minute.
Yeah, he pops in.
He pops in for
I feel like his actor was directed to not loom in the background in the doorway, but Killian had to, like, the actor playing Killian had to call an audible and tell him to go away, because he was just like, I need to get my face in the show a little bit more, guys. But
I will say as well, that caravan was pretty small.
Yeah,
I like the idea of the mom, the dad, and the 2 sons.
Yeah, that is, like, where are you all sleeping? Is there like bunk bed in there for Killian?
Like, at the same time, they've got like these huge buildings with greenhouses or whatever. Yeah. It's like, just pull a bed up into one of those.
Yeah, and like Jürgen's truck must have a cabin in it. Like, come on, Jürgen, go sleep in the car. Like,
unless that's not their house. Maybe they're there, like, security, or maybe they're there. Maybe. Like, I know they own it, but maybe that's just their premises at their workplace.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's where they keep their drugs.
But anyway, like, you know, Marta goes, can I speak to Killian? And like in this tiny little caravan, Jurgen goes, Killian, Marta for you. Just imagine Killian sitting on the couch on his phone, like, I don't want to see him.
Yeah.
I want to see him. Killian.
Yeah. You can hear the whole conversation happening outside.
Or maybe Killian is Yasin.
Well, I mean,
this is the transition.
We haven't seen old Yasin.
Old Yasin.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Killian is old Yasin. He's like he can speak in this. Well, he can speak in the regular world as well, but he never had to pretend to be deaf mute in this one. So and
here's a question for you: if Charlotte exists, that means that Noah exists because Noah is Charlotte's dad.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth is that, so that's still going to happen in this world.
Yes.
That's the whole thing still has to happen. But if we haven't seen old Yasin, how did Noah kill him out of jealousy, or again? Like how did that love triangle work this time?
He just didn't like the look of him. He was just like, I don't like the look of that kid. He looks like he's going to be trouble.
Yeah,
you're a teacher. You know how these things work. Like you pick him out at the beginning of the year. Like got my eye on that one. But in Noah's case,
that's not how it works. Well, I think it might work with other people that way, but for me, it doesn't work like that. I'm very fair.
Yeah, whatever. Killian is occupying the Bartos role here, where he's essentially Marta's only with him for lack of a better option, which is a bit harsh. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in, Killian.
He should have tried the old Bartos classic. I like your hair.
Yeah.
That's what actually cursed Bartos, and that's why he had the hair he had in season 3.
Yeah, he deserved it. It was his punishment for coming up with such a lame chat up line.
Yeah. So what did you think about this little bit of character work from Killian, saying like, you know, you're only, and it seems like actually Marta wasn't denying this.
Yeah.
You're only going out with me to piss off your parents.
I mean, I think there is probably an element of that to this. Like she doesn't really seem to like him all that much. So yeah, I could definitely buy it. And is she rebellious? She is kind of rebellious. I mean, she's had like in the real world as well, or the regular world, I guess. I keep saying real world, implying that the old world doesn't count when like they're just as real as us. Where she's had like kind of conversations with Katerina where they've got into like really like big shouting matches. So yeah, I mean, I guess she's got a bit of a rebellious, fiery streak in her, and this would support that.
Yeah. All right, so then we get the Hannah going to see Alexander scene. We've talked about it a bit before. We've also talked at length about it in season 1. So what else do we have to do?
I think it's just ironic that she doesn't want a husband destroyed this time. She wants the other woman destroyed. It's like, all right, nice one, Hannah.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually. How do you think this is going to affect Alexander? Because in this world, Regina's gone. So do you think the fact that Regina is already dead in this world is going to affect the way that this sort of news that someone knows about his past is going to affect him?
No, because everything's going to blow up in like 2 days' time.
True.
Like, according to Eva. So
yeah, to say one thing about Hannah, she really isn't good at choosing a right time to blackmail someone.
She picks the worst possible moment. She's been sitting on that plastic bag and that gun and passport for 33 years. It's like, now's the time. And
in the one world, Ulrich went back in time, got put in prison. Yeah. And in this world, the whole world's going to blow up.
Like, just leave it a couple of days. Charlotte's going to be destroyed anyway, I promise you. Like,
Yasin works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. This is all part of his big plan.
Yeah. That's what causes the end of the world. Is just this is he just goes and presses a button in the place because he has to destroy Charlotte.
Just creeps into it. Yeah, Alexander just high fives his younger self through a portal, like just like bam, there you go, everything blows up.
Yeah. All right. So then we get a very, very interesting scene, which is who we can only assume is Benny Voller.
Oh, is that who that was?
Oh, sorry.
I didn't pick it up. I did not pick it up. I mean, it's not. That makes perfect sense. It's not. I'm not that.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it isn't this. It's not like a huge rabbit hole to go down. It's just a little moment. It's Benny Voller.
Is it the same actor?
I assume. I'm assuming that this actor would go by actor. But
yeah, I don't know.
And
if
I'm assuming.
Actor,
I don't think it's a trans actor. I think he was just playing a trans character. Having said that, If we're wrong about that, let us know in the comments. But I'm interested in the take of this. Like, I'm interested in this. Like, did you take this scene, anything from the scene to and did you assume that there was any relationship going on between Benny and Peter here?
Well, 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
they Peter, as soon as I saw them sitting together, I was like, oh, Peter's up to his old tricks. And then the young man, who, to be honest, I didn't clock that was Benny at all. I don't know if
they did a big long slow shot when he was leaving the church.
And he's just like looking over his shoulder the whole time, like. Yeah.
That's what they were trying to do.
It was just constant. It was like, for God's sake, like, make it a little bit subtle that you know you're having sex in the confessional or whatever. Like,
I think this is really interesting to me. The parallel between the world. Peter goes. I can imagine, like, because Benny does say here, "You've helped me a lot." Okay.
Yeah.
So and we know the relationship between Benny in Adam's world and Peter. And the idea is Peter goes there in a very destructive, way to his own life, and he goes
very
there
very self-hating,
and he goes there and sort of confides in Benny in a way, confides in him with his penis, but he confides in Benny.
Yeah,
I should say in her with her penis in that world, but yeah. So I would say in this one, it's interesting that it's sort of flipped. Benny's coming to Peter for guidance and help, and it's interesting. I understand, and I did take from it that Peter's up to his old tricks. But if the creators came out and said, no, we were actually making a comment on blah blah blah, they're not actually in a relationship, I would completely understand that thematically too. To be honest with you, I
feel like the look he gave Peter in that very very strongly implied like a sexual relationship between them. But I think you are right though. Like, I think we haven't seen that much of Peter or alt Peter, but he seems far more comfortable in his sexuality than real world Peter was. Like, he doesn't, obviously he's still married and is still cheating on his spouse, but he doesn't seem to hate himself as much as real world Peter does for something he can't change. And as you say, he is. It could be both. In this reality, maybe there is an element of support for another gay person. Like, Benny doesn't look trans in this reality. It looks like perhaps he's just gay or bi. But there's that support for that sexuality in a place that seems maybe not that accepting of people like that, as well as the sexual relationship on top of it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to touch, or I'm not going to try to analyze, not out of fear of offending anyone, just out of fear of ignorance. Like, I'm not going to try and analyze the idea of Benny in this world being religious and therefore not trans. I think that's if they are making some sort of comment on that, I'm too ignorant on the subject to understand anything they're saying. So if you just want to have a go at that in the comments,
I don't know anything about religion in general, to be honest. So I'm not qualified to comment.
No, but I mean in terms of like the sort of the suppression of one's true identity, perhaps. But I'm not gonna do it because it is a minefield, and I'm too ignorant to walk through that minefield.
Yeah.
But I'm always up for being educated. So if there's anyone in our audience who wants to, let us know in the comments. Right. So next up we have Peter and Charlotte go to the police station because Helga's there. He's turned himself in.
Yeah, he's just expediting the whole process.
Yeah, I've seen season 1.
Yeah, it was me. You're going to bash my head in. Here's the necklace. Get yourself back to the 1980s. That's what this scene is. But it's Peter plays it quite well in this scene, like the actor plays it quite well in this scene with him being like, "Dad, like, shut up, like, stop it." And it's like it's quite a it felt like quite a realistic depiction of my experience with elderly relatives with dementia or Alzheimer's, where it's almost like you're obviously with something like this, it's very concerning and you are stressed about it, but it is also that kind of like mundane, like you see this behavior all the time, so it's just like, just shut up, stop saying these things, like you don't actually mean this. It felt very real to me. Yeah,
I completely get it. Yeah, and then obviously Ulrich comes in, and the whole thing, like, he's the fella. He did it. Yeah. He's like, I see the first season. I'm not going to wait for you to come to the care home. I'm coming to you.
Yeah. Cut right to the heart of this one, guys.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so then we get Jonas and Altmarta having a lovely wee chat in the forest.
Yes.
Reminding them about glitches in the Matrix and all that.
I couldn't help but in my head imagine that during the sort of short monologue where Lewis Hoffman is running through events that Marta has experienced, like he's kind of recalling them to prove that they've met before. In my head, I was thinking it would be really funny if he's got every single one of these wrong and they didn't actually happen in this world. And
See, that's what I wanted to talk about, and I was alluding to this earlier.
Yeah.
So this is the take that I have gauged from rewatching this episode,
Okay.
and it might be wrong, but what I took from this time watching it is when he said, "I've always been there," right? I think he wasn't talking about the fact that I saw my Marta do these things in my world. I think he was saying everything he said happened to him, and she has lived the same life as him because she is him in this world. And so when he said, you felt sick from school and you left because Katerina picked you up, I think he did that. And I think
that's interesting. Yeah, that makes sense now that you say it. I didn't think about that at all. I assumed they were experiences that Marta would have, but actually it would make a lot more sense if they were experiences he had.
Yeah, that's what and I'm sure their whole lives haven't been the exact same, but I'm also, maybe Eva told him a few things that had happened to her.
Yeah.
And like set him up for that. But that's really this second or third time I've seen this episode now. That is really what I got from it this time. When he said, "I've been there the whole time," I think what he means is, "I am you."
Yeah.
Ich bin du.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I think you're right. I think that definitely bears up to scrutiny, that take. But yeah, I mean, broadly, Lewis Hoffman and Lisa Vicari have such great chemistry in all of their scenes together, and it's obvious why they've been cast as, I guess you'd probably call them the leads at this point, even though it's kind of an ensemble. To be honest, but these two are great in every scene they're in, and they're great here as well. And it's it makes me wonder whether at what point the turn is going to come for Jonas. I hope there is a turn where he breaks away from what Eva has told him to do, but his past actions don't fill me with confidence, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, speaking of Jonas, a little bit older, stranger Jonas.
Yeah.
He's cracked a little glass ball in, and he is...
Cracked into 3 parts.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
little bit of visual metaphor for you there, folks.
Yeah, so basically the lightning is hitting, the Tesla rod style lightning is hitting this black matter, dark matter, and it's growing out in a really cool way.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Francisca's the only one who got her eyes open, and she's realised Altmarta's run out the room, and she's escaped.
Yeah, she's done the old jangling the keys while doing something with her other hand trick, except in this case the keys are a ball of cesium-137 being energized by Tesla coils.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff continues to look awesome. The design on the cesium is still great. It looks really ominous and dangerous. And yeah, when Altmarta runs back into her room, we get lots of great clicking and clacking ASMR sounds as she sets her thing. But it's all a ploy. And the fact that she knows as we find out by the end of the episode, the fact that she knows exactly where she's going, exactly what she's doing here, she's been directed to do it, makes me wonder whether Altmarta has already begun to be corrupted by Adam, or whether she is just kind of following instructions blindly in the same way that Jonas is.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. So you think that actually that would based on that, extrapolating from what you just said, you think that she will begin to alter her own mind in the way she thinks based on Adam's influence? Or, she'll come around to his way of thinking, sort of thing?
Well, I mean, she's been filled in on way more than Jonas has ever been filled in on, in terms of, what she's being trusted to do. Or rather... she's gone off to do something. She's come back, and it's clear that she has done exactly what Adam told her to do, and the end result has been exactly what he told her it would be. Whereas in Jonas's case, I feel like he's often told to go off and do something, and it's actually the opposite of what he's supposed to do, or it will achieve the opposite of what he's been told it's supposed to do.
He was actually, Alt Marta was actually sort of trusted to do what needed to be done.
Yeah. And
without having to be manipulated to do it.
Yeah, and it makes me think maybe that character is further along the path to being corrupted than Jonas is, which is potentially troubling.
Yeah. At what point do you think that the Marta we're following with Jonas in the last scene, in terms of like sort of just coming to realize time travel's a thing, at what point do you think she turns into the Alt Marta who we see at the end of season 2, who goes on to be this Alt Marta?
I think it's going to have to be when someone is shot, or when Magnus is shot. I think that's going to be. I'm kind of meta analyzing this. I think because they don't have very much time to show us this, there's not going to be the sort of slow build and reveal of like kind of minor manipulations to bigger and bigger manipulations that eventually lead to that character turn. I think they're going to have to present it as. Snap, there's your breaking point. Magnus has been shot, and I need to go and fix this. I think it's going to be Magnus has been shot, and then the world ends, the apocalypse happens, and then she's going to be off to the races.
Interesting. Okay, montage time.
Yes.
One thing I'll say, I always say one thing at the start of the montage, then let you go if you have anything. How cool is it that Jonas is trying to impress her, right? He turns around with a light and goes, hey.
Check out my sweet torch.
Yeah, that is honestly like the way he's looking at her. He turns around, looks at her, leaves at least a 1 or 2 second gap, and then just goes, and he's like, well, we're fucking going to the future, love.
Honestly, the fact that Jonas like had sex at any point in this show is the most unrealistic thing in it. He's such a nerd. This is that is a great start to this, and this is an interesting montage. I think it's the most standout thing for me, as it often is with these, is the song choice. Really, really strong song choice. It's got this. It's got like first off, like lyrically very appropriate. You know, if I were you, I'd run and all that stuff. Like another example of a song where it feels like it was written for the show, but obviously they just probably listened to lots of music and found some really kind of appropriate songs for it. And then it's got like
I will give a slight spoiler for later in the season, but there's a Hosier song later in the season.
Oh really? Wait,
it's not "Take Me to Church" though.
Hosier. What was the really
famous
song?
The one "Take Me to Church."
I'm thinking of it. Oh, I'm thinking of the Hoosiers.
Worship on your knees. Yeah, okay, you're thinking of the Hoosiers. No, it's Hosier. He's an Irish artist. You probably recognize him, But anyway, there's a Hosier song coming.
Oh, okay. I'll look out. No, yeah. When you said Hosier, I was thinking of the Hoosiers, who I believe did that. She's so lovely. She's so lovely, like indie rock song.
I mean, that would be a good one to be.
That would not fit into Dark at all. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. If only one of the time zones was 2003.
Yeah. That's great. They put a Fall Out Boy in it as well. Yeah, that's what I want.
Wasn't that something for scouting for girls?
Oh, that might be Scouting for Girls. The Hoosiers had a song like that. It was one of those
Hoosiers, yeah.
They were one of those bands that...
Didn't the Hoosiers sing, "Well, sometimes I go out"?
What
was that one? Valerie. Didn't they sing Valerie?
No, that was the Zootons.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Hoosiers, Zootons.
Yeah. Any band that had "the" in front of its name and came to prominence in the early to sort of mid 2000s could be in the End of Dark, and I'm looking forward to it. Or the final montage in Dark. But this song is great, and it's got this really awesome drop in it that it turns into almost like this kind of industrial electro, which I really, really liked. It's very distinct from a lot of the other songs we've heard. In terms of content, a lot of people kind of guiding others around, like Jonas guiding Marta around, like you say, Charlotte and Peter kind of leaving Ulrich at the station. They're kind of, but Charlotte is kind of staying with Ulrich in emotion, I think, like based on the kind of long glance she gives him. Mm-hmm. And then we get Hannah looking at the empty bed and the big Eric Lux "Let There Be Light" door. Which
what did you think about the choice of the name?
It's cool. I looked it up to see if it was pulled from something like the like Sigmundus was, and I couldn't immediately find anything. I basically typed it in and then got a bunch of like dark fan pages. I was like, nope, not going to read any of those.
Yeah, it's also, they named them after, like, Sigmundus Kratos Est is thus the world was created. Eric Lux, let there be light. Same sort of idea. They both think that they're the ones who are continuing the thing. They're the ones,
Yeah, it's that same kind of sense of, it's like when you when people like forming like black metal bands, and they're like, well, we need this to be in Latin because we have to have a sense of gravitas in our name, because otherwise people won't take us seriously. And that's like when they went to the international cult naming convention to like register their trademark. This is the best they could come up with on short notice, which is, I mean, it's not great, but it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay.
It's no Sigmundus.
It's no Sigmundus. Okay, so we then get the reveal. We've talked about it an awful lot. Probably don't have to go too much into it, but we get the reveal of Adam and Alt Marta are working together here.
He's got a lovely new coat.
Yeah, it's good to see Adam back.
Yeah, great.
That's hilarious.
Coat. He's got his collar is like up to here now. It's like he looks like Count Dracula.
Yeah, like it's interesting that you said he's a new coat, because I'm just so used to seeing him in this coat now that I didn't even realize that was the first time you'd seen it wearing it in the show.
I feel like someone in the period between when we last saw him and when we've seen him now has remarked that they can still see a bit of the scarring under the massive collar he wears. So I was like, right, I'll fix that. And it's just like up to there. It's like, what can you see now?
Yeah, good thing there's no season 4, because he would literally be wearing like a space suit.
Yeah, just a balaclava. Yeah, he's very self-conscious about it. But yeah, more shots of the crazy cocoons. When are those bug monsters showing up?
Yeah, I actually noticed them, really prominent there.
When are they showing up? We've not got long left.
We don't have long left. I can't promise they'll be next episode.
Give me the bug monsters, you cowards!
I'll have a word with Baron. We'll definitely get some bug monsters in 1899. The next
get them
show.
in there. Oh, they could do in Alt 2053. Have them what is it from? I think it was Transformers that has like scorpion robots like popping out of the sand. Was that one of the Transformers movies? But that's what I'm kind of imagining that for how we get like alien bug monsters in this, like a sort of Starship Troopers style thing. So looking forward to seeing more of Alt 2053.
Yeah. Okay. Alt 2052. So
52 rather. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, that wasn't Alt. That was real.
Oh well, yeah. Sorry. The Adam. Yeah. So the Adam one is 2053.
Yeah.
And then the other one is 2052.
Okay, so we get the big reveal.
Yeah.
First of all, that the future is a desert wasteland.
Does not look good. It does it's whatever happened in the real world happened worse here. I think it's safe to say.
Now, yeah. Well, I actually, that was a question that I got back on one of my old unanswered questions videos. Why do the two post-apocalyptic worlds look so different? Now. There is a question about that in the question and answers episode, so I'm going to leave it to then. But there's a very straightforward answer, which I'm going to give in that episode.
Okay. I look forward to that, because I was just like, I don't know, like, it was worse, I guess.
Yeah. Well, worse for one, not worse for the other. But what do you call it? So anyway, what do you think about this reveal?
Yeah, this is, oh my god, like this
First of all, say who it is.
Do you know what? Before I say this, if I'm being 100% honest, when we got the Welcome to the Future line combined with a woman revealing the scar on her face, immediately made me start thinking of the scarred girl from 2052, who I said was Marta. I know it's obviously Marta because she has a fringe, and no one else in Dark is allowed to have fringes.
But hang on, you said that girl from the future was Marta.
Yeah, that's why
that all fits.
It does all fit. That's true. That theory isn't yet marked as incorrect, I don't think. Actually, let me check. I might have marked that as incorrect. I can't remember now. I think I did mark that as incorrect.
Yeah, because we literally said, well, we saw Marta at that age, and she didn't look anything like her.
Yeah, the dream was dead on that one.
Unless, like, the Marta who died at the end of season 2 was like a stunt double.
Yeah.
Like she sent someone in with her face on.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she like went and got plastic surgery, like face off.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. She had one of those like Mission Impossible rubber masks they wear, where it like perfectly imitates your face, but it was actually
Exactly. And then she went and got plastic surgery. They botched it, which gave her a scar.
Yeah, sure.
And now
and made her look a little bit younger as well.
Like, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
when I saw her, I was like, oh. Is this the girl from the future in the real world? And then I was like, oh no, it's obviously Marta because she has a fringe.
Yeah.
But
That
she's
fringe
so
hasn't grown in 66 years.
She keeps on top of it. You know, she keeps track of it. But this is badass. Like her rolling up with like her like Bedouin nomad desert kind of look is really cool. I really hope we see more of Vault 2052. Again, there's 5 episodes left of this show. I don't know how they're going to get to do all the things that I want them to do, but this is super cool.
I will say that that's one of my predictions that came true. Is that before, it's not really the same type of prediction as yours, but I found out this woman was being cast before season 3 came out, and I predicted that she would be a middle alt Marta.
Yeah, it makes sense. We've got our Adam, we've got our Jonas, needed a stranger, and here she is. In the flesh.
Here she is. Yeah, she's quite strange too. Right, okay, so that will end the episode. We'll get into the roundup. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
IMDb rating this week, 8.9.
That's 0.1 higher than last week, isn't it?
No, they were both 8.9.
Oh, I think that should be slightly lower, but I'd still put this in, the 8s. I think it was a good episode. I felt the reveal at the end and the dramatic or the character work and the acting between Lewis Hoffman and Lisa Vicari really did a lot of the heavy lifting in this episode. There was a little bit too much of storylines we'd already seen in the alt world for my tastes,
Okay.
but still a good episode. I still enjoyed it, and yeah, the always great to see the cleanup crew. Love those guys. They've got a great theme, and the reveal at the end was awesome.
I don't know if we've actually had Alt Marta's theme come back since the end of season 2, but it does come back eventually.
I
it goes like it goes like that. I don't think it's come back since. But anyway, great takes there, Konrad, as always. The things that you liked about the episode, I agree with. The things that you didn't like about the episode, you're wrong. But we'll continue on as we are.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I know. I as the weeks go on, I am more and more confident that you will like the end of the show, and I think I'm just looking forward to you having a show in your life that there's 3 episodes. It's not going on anymore, and it was good start to end. I'm looking forward to you having that knowledge that there is a show out there.
There's a lot. When I was thinking back about it, as we get closer to the end of this show, I think back to the shows that I've actually watched start to finish, because there aren't that many of them. There's a lot of shows I've started watching, got a significant part of the way through, and been like, I'm kind of falling off of this. I don't tend to finish very many shows, but I'm pretty confident that even if we weren't doing this, I would still finish Dark, because it's been so good so far. So I mean, they will need to.
You're more of a movie guy.
Yeah. But they'll need to mess this up really badly for me to not love the ending of this, and I don't think they're going to do that somehow. So I'm very confident.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't have any segments this week, so that's pretty much us. I mean, like, I could have done a What the Dub, I suppose, but it would have been something stupid like Eva's voice is like, hello, like, I'm not going to make it. Is
she like a witch?
I would be half, I would be half lying, but it still is funny, like she is like got really high pitched voice with a little bit of creak, hello. It's like so different to the old women that they cast.
Like fucking Frank Oz playing Yoda.
Yeah, that's basically what the Eva is in the English dub. Is she's Yoda.
Good, well, cool. That's, I mean, and she employs what are effectively Jedis to go around and do her murderous business for her. So the metaphor doesn't stop there. Or the comparison.
Is that a prediction?
What, that they're Jedis?
Yeah.
They are force sensitive.
Yeah. What's the M count? Midi-chlorian count?
We can't go into this.
All right, okay. Right, okay. So, guys, that is us for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Next week, it's the 4th episode of the season. Obviously, you guys know, as we have the last 2 seasons, the middle episode is always got a big aspect to it. For this episode, season 2, it was Adam being revealed as Jonas. For episode 5 of season 1, it was Michael being revealed as Mikkel. Well, Konrad, what do you think about next episode? Do you want to make a big crazy theory, or do you think one of your other theories is going to come true?
I think Yasin's going to finally be revealed as Alexander.
That's already been revealed.
But that's true. Yeah, that is all but confirmed.
That's been revealed. Like, there was a scene where they put the fingerprints up, and they were the same.
Yeah, I'm having that. If they're like, if the fingerprints even look remotely similar to each other, I'm having it. I think. What do I think?
Last week, Christopher commented on the video and said that I should have mentioned this at the start because it is hilarious. Obviously, Christopher, I think, started like listening to us a little later. I don't know if he went back and listened to them all, but basically, he linked the point in which we were talking about Alexander, but we said about Yasin's clothes being great, and he said, "I'm sure you've realized your mistake by now," but and I was like, "That's no mistake.
No,
that's Yasin."
You are the one who is mistaken, sir.
Yeah. Can you imagine someone who hasn't been listening the whole time or hasn't picked up on that joke?
Just jumps in.
Us talking about middle Yasin.
Come on in, join in on the joke, guys. It's all fun and games here.
That's what I'm looking forward, guys. You know us too. Even the next series we do, which we are going to reveal next week. The next season that we do, we're gonna have all these inside jokes again. Like, it's a great fun old ride. You want to be with us from the start, even if you've seen the show before. It's good fun going through a show with someone, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that makes it that makes it all the more satisfying. Like to watch when you have a bunch of people who are also like joking about it along with you.
Yeah, I think so too. Right, guys. Thanks. Oh, sorry. I
was gonna say if you want me to actually give a serious answer to what's the big reveal in the next episode going to be, I'm gonna say the Katerina Lady in the Lake thing. I'll say this now. I don't know if this is 100% true, but this goes all the way back to the first episode when I didn't really watch the intro sequence, and you asked me about it, and I was like, I don't know, I don't watch the intro sequences. I was watching the intro sequence for this episode, and I saw there's what, obviously it's like kind of a kaleidoscope, so you can't really see what's going on, but there was what looked to be Katerina's body being dragged. Like it looked like it had the brown coat and blonde hair like that Katerina's wearing, and it looked like it was being dragged along a beach, which made me think like, oh, Katerina in the lake. So I'm all in on that theory now, and I think let's say that's going to happen next episode.
Okay, let's make. All right, okay. So that's your big prediction. Yep. Is that going to be like a double or nothing prediction?
Oh,
it kind of is. It kind of is.
What are you saying? I get double points if I get it right?
No, I mean, like, it's kind of double or nothing because you're predicting now that that's going to happen next episode, but you've already predicted that it's going to happen. So if it happens next episode, that's double points.
Oh, I see what you mean. All right, yeah, whatever.
But that means if it happens later in the season, but not next episode, you won't get any points for it.
Well, no, because I've still got the Katerina as the Lady in the Lake theory. They'll just cancel each other out.
Yeah, they'll cancel each other out. So would you rather just not make the prediction for the next episode and keep the possibility of positive points if it comes true?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna break from tradition and play conservatively on the theory matrix now.
Like, let's be honest, right, guys? We are not stockbrokers. I don't want to start betting on the potential of certain theories. Like, we're not making theories about potential theories.
I mean, yeah, stock in Katerina dying is at an all-time high at the moment, so it's not a good time to invest.
Although, did you see the news? Actually, New York Stock Exchange is now trading in the futures of water.
Oh boy!
Because they think it's going to be a scarce commodity in the future.
Yay! Da, 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 da.
Thanks, Nestle. Right, let's go. Subscribe. Podcasting apps, subscribe YouTube, adpodmail@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. Leave comments on this video for questions for Konrad, episode 4. We've got a load of great stuff coming for you over Christmas, guys. We are looking forward to releasing it. We've got a new project which is going to be revealed very soon, which I think will excite you all. And apart from that, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the After Dark podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.